Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
Welcome back. David Heurtel in for Elias Mackos. Well, this is going to be one of the biggest stories of 2023 here in Quebec for sure. All the public service employees are going to go through contract negotiations with the Quebec government, and it seems that the Quebec government's latest salary increase pay offer to the nurses union has not been well received. The unions, all the unions actually, state that the offer is a true slap in the face and that a 9% increase in salary over 5 years is offensive, considering how much nurses have given over the last few years. The increase would see a 3% rise in the first year, 1.5% in the next 4 years following that. Joining us is Roberto Bomba, who is the FEQ Nurses Union Treasurer. Mr. Bomba, thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Mr. Heurtel.
Good morning. So, slap in the face. What are the nurses looking for in terms of this next contract?
Well, let's be very clear. With all the sacrifices that the nurses, but we're talking about the healthcare professionals, be it licensed practical nurses, respiratory therapists, and perfusionists that we represent, they've sacrificed. They've gone above and beyond, and we know what condition the healthcare sector is in currently. The waiting lists, the crisis and emergency, they're there around the clock, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So for us, it's totally unacceptable. It's offensive, like you said, and it's disappointing. We were expecting, we know negotiations are always difficult, being in Quebec and North America. However, the government, who clearly says, our healthcare minister, Dubé, regularly in the media says, our priority is to become an employer of choice. While an employer of choice, you have to clearly demonstrate it, and it comes with depositing offers that could be appreciated somewhat by the healthcare professionals, which is not the case.
And you know, throughout the pandemic, we've seen the heroic work. We know the status, the crisis status of the system. And I know that your members have done so much. And I mean, I don't think that we need to explain this anymore. And so what I don't understand, is this just an extremely lowball offer to begin negotiations, or what is the government not getting here? Because if you tack on, yes, the incredible work your members are doing, but on top of that, you have inflation. I mean, we're at 7-8% inflation. Just that, just covering that. I mean, this offer doesn't even come close to covering just the basic cost of living increase. So what are we missing here? What's the government's game here?
We know there's always strategies involved with negotiations. However, if this is their strategy, they're really starting on a wrong point. There should have been recognition. We know it's a very competitive market and a labor market in the province of Quebec, but also in North America. And employers are making choices. We've seen the salary increases in the last few years in the private sector. So this gap that existed prior to this round of negotiation, with these offers, the gap is only going to get worse. And on a daily basis, our healthcare professionals are leaving the public sector. They're leaving the public sector. Some of them are going purely in the private sector. So you're getting a two-tier system where we're going to have private health care when our emphasis should be in a public, universal, accessible system. We have excellent health care. The problem is you got to get the services, and that comes with retaining your qualified healthcare professionals and attracting junior healthcare professionals. And there's nothing. You're talking about remuneration, huge gaps. 1.5%. We're in an economic growth. There's prosperity. Well, when there's prosperity, you should be sharing. The coffers of the government, trimester after trimester, there's huge amounts of monies that are entering the coffers. We've seen increases in the last year or two, hovering the 10%, and here it is with 1.5%. So huge gap in remuneration, but also in terms of other measures. There's nothing concrete in this contract renewal that was deposited last Thursday. We know mandatory overtime, huge growth in the last few years, partly the pandemic. However, there's nothing concrete to say, here is our action plan, these are our measures, we're going to totally eliminate it. Nothing. Also, we're talking about agency personnel. Huge growth in the last few years. It's costing over $1 billion. Nothing concrete in this renewal. And also in terms of how do you value healthcare professionals, reduce the workload? For us, it's clear. It's by introducing ratios via a law, so that once and for all will improve healthcare professionals in terms of working conditions. Once again, nothing concrete. Their view is we're going to put in place forums to discuss issues. Well, you don't discuss issues when you're actively negotiating. You do that prior to negotiating. You do that after negotiation. Our government says they have solutions. Well, where are these solutions? We're not seeing them, unfortunately.
Okay, so you covered a lot of bases. So, yes, we've been hearing a lot about mandatory overtime, the organization of work, the private sector, the agencies offering much more money. So these are all factors in play. So on your end, what do you propose on all the issues? I mean, for example, what's a reasonable salary increase? Well, how do you propose to organize the time to make the profession more attractive?
For us, our demands are reasonable. We're asking for a 4% increase per year. So over a 3-year contract, it becomes 12%. Also, with the loss of purchasing power in the last few months, we're expecting a catch-up because of our last increase, which was 2%. And we also want to introduce a mechanism where if the economy performs like it has in the last few years, we're in a period of prosperity, well, there should be a mechanism that protects our purchasing power for the healthcare professionals. So we'll always be competitive with the private market. So that's in terms of remuneration. Okay. In terms of personal life-work balance, which is our second priority, there's more and more healthcare professionals that are working full-time. We know that a majority of our healthcare professionals, close to 90%, are women. I'd say 50% are single parents. While they need to plan their personal life, family life, with work life, and that comes with scheduling. We hear it. The government, our healthcare minister, Dubé, says we want to allow self-scheduling. Yes, that's a route. However, the schedule should be available. What we're preconizing is 2 weeks ahead, and they should be a schedule for a 3-month period. So you would have 4 periods for the year. So whether you're working full-time or part-time, you'll be able to plan your dentist appointments on your days off, your medical appointments, be it for yourself or your children, on your days off. So it becomes much more easier to manage scheduling, be it that our healthcare professionals are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not like somebody works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. Our healthcare professionals are there around the clock. So that's one of the issues. And we're also saying, since a greater number of healthcare professionals are working full-time and they're there 24 hours a day, we want to introduce mechanisms where a full-time position could be done on 7 shifts per pay, 8 shifts per pay, or 9 shifts per pay, and not only the 10 shifts per pay. So those are all mechanisms that will improve drastically the quality of life of our healthcare professionals.
All right, I'm going to have to leave it at that. Roberto Bomba from the FIQ's the Nurses Union Treasurer, thank you very much, and all the best moving forward.
My pleasure. Have a good day, Mr. Heurtel.
You too. Take care.